And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Alan Renshaw, who writes, I saw an article that said Kevin Spacey has landed his first movie role since his scandal in 2017 that halted his career. He will star in Franco Nero film titled The Man Who Drew God. I personally believe that he is a good actor, and I hope he is able to bounce back. What do you think? All right, thanks a lot for sending me that, Alan. And yeah, kind of surprising. Yesterday, news comes across the wire that Kevin Spacey, by the way, the last movie I saw Kevin Spacey in, I think, was Baby Driver. I think that was the last on-screen movie I saw him in, because then he was going to do that one with Mark Wahlberg. He was famously taken out of the film, and they put in Christopher Plummer, R.I.P., the really great Christopher Plummer, who ended up getting an Academy Award nomination for his role in that, as a matter of fact. And we haven't really heard anything since. Now, Spacey obviously has been had a cloud over him with 20 plus allegations by young men, particularly in a theater company that he used to work with, and other people as well, for sexual misconduct. Now, it should be pointed out, and it should be mentioned, that Kevin Spacey, as of this moment, never once has been found guilty of anything in a court of law. That's very, very important to point out. One case that was brought was dismissed and thrown out by the district prosecutor because it had surpassed the statute of limitations. Another lawsuit was thrown out because the accuser had passed away. Another one was thrown out because the accuser wanted to bring the case against Kevin Spacey without revealing their identity, and obviously in law you can't really do that, so that was dismissed. Anyway, it doesn't look good for Spacey, but it needs to be said that in our society, where, you're innocent until proven guilty, no court of law has, not that he won't be found guilty of something in the future, but as of right now, it's important to point out that he has not been found guilty of any crimes to date. But obviously, there was enough stuff going around that people wanted to separate themselves from him. I get it. I understand that. I do. Like, after all the allegations came out, would I jump in and create a peanut butter company with Kevin Spacey? Probably not. The dude's a tremendous actor. He's tremendously talented. And by the way, Mark Lemming sends in a super chat badge in live chat. Thanks, Mark. So it is what it is. And he got written out of his show, House of Cards, which was one of the most popular thing going on Netflix for a while. He got written out of that. He got taken out of his movie with Mark Wahlberg, and he essentially lost his career. So now news is coming that he's kind of back a little bit. He's going to be starring in an Italian film. Kevin Spacey seems to be attempting a comeback. This comes to us from the good folks over at Joe Blow. The actor has booked his first film role in years, following the various sexual misconduct claims that have been made against him. ABC News is reporting that Spacey will appear in the Italian film The Man Who Drew God. The film is directed by Franco Nero and is also starring Nero's wife, Vanessa Redgraves, who I know you like very much, Rob. Nero said to ABC News, I'm very happy Kevin agreed to participate in my film. I consider him a great actor, and I cannot wait to start the movie. All right. This is an interesting, if no other word is applicable here, Rob, this is an interesting scenario. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am extremely torn on how to feel about it. I am. On the one hand, I very much believe, I worked in law, so I very much believe that while it is not flawless, I believe in the legal system. And I believe in our basic understandings of innocent until proven guilty, at least from a legal point of view. I also believe that, I believe in redemptive arcs. I believe in all that kind of stuff. And I guess when posed with the question of, should a guy who has never actually been convicted of anything have his career forever taken away from him? Because his career was taken from him, maybe rightfully so. But should it be a proverbial death sentence that there can never be a return if he's never been found guilty of anything? It's tough. Like, on the one hand, I feel that way, but on the other hand, I also feel like, man, like, yeah, his one case was thrown out, but that's only because the statute of limitations had passed. And yes, another case was thrown out, but that's only because the guy bringing the case died. And yeah, another case got thrown out because of, and like, if I'm a producer today, do I put Kevin Spacey in one of my movies? No, I don't. I don't personally put Kevin Spacey, even though I think he's one of the best actors in the world today. I don't think I put him in one of my movies. That's not me saying I am against anyone else putting him in one of their movies if they want to, but I don't think that I do. And Rob, listen, I know everybody likes to draw a line in the sand and say, you got to take, it's black and white. You either got to take this side or this side. And I must confess, I feel a little torn. Would I put him in my movies? No. Am I offended that a filmmaker in Italy has decided that he wants to put him in one of his films? I'm not offended at that idea. But I still feel weird about it. Listen, this is just me saying, I think it's a very complicated issue, and I don't really have a 100% clear picture on where I stand with this. I was surprised to see the news, but I don't know, Rob, you see this, it is a complicated chainsaws we're trying to juggle here, but what are your thoughts on this as you read that Kevin Spacey is going to be making his return to acting?
I'm as torn about it as you are. I actually got to meet and interact with Kevin Spacey for 6 weeks when we worked on, all of us were on Superman Returns. I was the documentarian. So I spent a lot of time around him, and I witnessed some of his behavior. And I would say this. I think the problem that I think Kevin Spacey had in his life is he was closeted about who he was. And when you are that way, I think you overcompensate in certain situations because you're not allowed to be who you really are, or you don't allow yourself to be who you really are. And I think he made some really bad decisions. And you couple that with the fact that he has a certain personality, that there's a lot of negativity in that personality. Let's say that. And yet, on the other hand, he's an incredibly talented artist. And I think it's a shame that we lost somebody like that, because I think about like when he played Jack Vincennes in LA Confidential, or when he was in American Beauty, or when he was Kaiser Soze, or he was in Seven. He's given us so many great performances, but the fact of the matter is, I think he's a person that needs to do a lot of work on himself. And so he doesn't continue to repeat certain kinds of behaviors. And like you, I'd love to see him come back. But on the other hand, I'm not convinced that this kind of behavior has changed in him. I think it's inherent to his personality, and maybe he's learned a lesson or something. Like, I don't believe that everybody should be pilloried for the rest of their life. It's even our legal system. When you go to jail for crimes and you serve your time and you come out, you're supposed to be able to lead your life. You've paid your debt to society. But our culture is such now that if somebody does something wrong, even if they've been to prison for decades and they come out, we still want to brand them for the rest of their lives. And the whole point of our legal system is if you serve your time, your debt to society is paid. That's what our idea is. But I just wonder if Kevin Spacey has really maybe paid his debt. And so it's hard for me to say. I don't think I would hire him.
Yeah, I just couldn't either. And it's so hard to say, has he paid his debt? Because I don't know what he's done. And again, I know I said it earlier, but it is completely germane that it must be mentioned. Kevin Spacey has never been found guilty of anything.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm ignoring everything else. Like I said, I wouldn't hire him for my movies today. Rob, you just said you wouldn't hire him for yours. I just don't know how to feel about somebody else hiring him for theirs when, in the society we live in, he has never been found guilty of anything in a court of law. Everything has been accusations, and serious accusations. And we as individual people, we don't ignore those, but we also shouldn't ignore the fact that he hasn't been found guilty. So that's why I feel a little bit torn about it. Listen, Rob, there was a couple of years there that I was really advocating for Kevin Spacey to become the new permanent host of the Oscars. Like, I thought he was going to be, and by the way, Mandy's Cabrales writes in a super chat badge in the live chat. Thank you. I had advocated for a long time that, man, Kevin Spacey would be like the ultimate Oscar host. He sings, he dances, he's hilarious. He is a walking history guide of Hollywood history. Like, he knows everything about Hollywood history. He is a legit movie personality. Kevin Spacey should be the host of the Oscars, and I advocated that for a long time. Obviously, I feel differently about that now, but it is a complicated system where everybody loves to draw conclusions about what they read on the internet. And, we're all think that. So I'm surprised. I guess the question is for you guys. How do you feel about this? I mean, nobody's asking us to hire Kevin Spacey. How do we feel about somebody else hiring him? In a world where he's been accused of a lot of stuff, but he hasn't actually been found guilty of anything yet. So I don't know. Like I said, I feel torn about it. I totally feel torn about it. Question is, how do you guys feel about this? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.